Good morning, Miss Auda here. Today we're going to be practicing our reading comprehension. So to do that, we will go ahead and access our Google Classroom. If you cannot access our Google Classroom, go ahead and continue watching the video because I will be reading the passage with you. If you can access our Google Classroom with your LAUSD account and password, the class code is EEODSC7. So for today, our assignment is to read a passage and to answer the questions right next to that. So our passage for today is titled Growing Up Around the World. So before I continue reading, I usually like to think about how the title might give me an idea of what the passage will be about. So the author titled this as Growing Up Around the World, which means maybe it's about how children grow up in different parts of the world. So let's start the passage. I stand before you as a friend and Hebrew school classmate. Our bat and bat mitzvah ceremonies are just around the corner. Each of us will give a speech as part of the ceremony. Our teacher asked us to present a speech to practice our public speaking skills. Mine reflects on how our Jewish rite of passage compares to the way different global cultures celebrate adulthood. So it looks like the author knows his audience, his or her audience. The author knows the audience because the author is part of a Hebrew school community, and the author is going to talk about how their ceremony of adulthood compares to the way other cultures celebrate becoming an adult. And it looks like the teacher had asked each of the Hebrew students to participate in a public speaking assignment. And this is the student's speech. So let's take a look. According to Jewish law, as 13-year-old boys and 12 or 13-year-old girls, we are now ready to become men and women who take responsibility for our actions. I really like this sentence because the author connects with his or her audience. The author used the word as 13-year-old boys. So that means that the author is talking to a group of 13-year-old boys and a group of 12 or 13-year-old girls, and they're all going through the same experience of becoming men and women. Some of us might have begun to check our faces for signs of a beard. Others might be parting with childhood toys. So these are ways that we can show we're becoming adults. However, becoming a ba or bat mitzvah is a subtle journey. Subtle means you really can't see the changes. Subtle, it's not obvious. The rite is not about being physically mature. Rather, we are supposed to be spiritually mature. So the author reminds the audience that the change from childhood to adulthood is not necessarily on the outside. Rather, it's what's happening on your inside, on your spirit level. The purpose of the ceremony is to develop a meaningful relationship with our religion, ourselves, and our family, and with the world around us. Again, the author connects that to the becoming spiritually mature by giving you example how you can do that. So you you develop your relationship with your religion, with yourself, with your family, and with the community around you, with the world around you. We are no longer to be consumed by the extremes of childhood, wanting this or that, or fighting with him or her. Instead, we should seek a deeper meaning to our life. We are ready to discover who we are and our purpose on earth. And I really like the way the author wrote these two sentences, where the author wrote that as children, we fight over silly things and we want silly things. Now the author is challenging the audience to make sure that when you become an adult, you're looking for something deeper meaning for your life, finding your purpose on this planet, on this earth. Rites of passage provide guidance to help young people find their place within their community. Elders pass on knowledge from techniques of healing, growing crops, and hunting to ways to connect with the spiritual world. A period of isolation can serve as a test of a young person's strength and usefulness to the community. When the young man or woman returns to his or her community, a celebration honors the new adult. So, this entire paragraph talks about what is the rite of passage in different culture or community. Well, giving the author gave you some examples of ways that children transition from childhood to adulthood, where the elders, the adult in that community, could share their knowledge about healing, how to grow fruits and vegetables, and perhaps even how to hunt. And once that child um, gains these information, they are now transitioning towards adulthood. Another way is not just getting information from the adult, but to have a time where you're by yourself and you are thinking about your purpose. And because you're by yourself, you then show how strong you are and how useful you are to the community. And after that time of isolation or that time where you're by yourself and you've returned to the community, they celebrate your return because that signals that you are now a new adult. So this is just an explanation of what a rite of passage is. Native American Apache tribes often mark a girl's transition to womanhood with the sunrise ceremony. Note, show slide 1 now. I, oh, I see. Because this is the author's speech, the author added notes to what the author has to do during his or her speech. So this is a slide about the Native American Apache tribe and how the girls are transitioning to womanhood in a ceremony called the sunrise ceremony. And the author wants to show slide 1 now. So if I scroll down, I see, oh, there's the slide that the author wants to show to his or her audience. Slide 1, Apache sunrise ceremony. So it looks like this is what the audience will be seeing. Over the course of 4 days and nights, a girl takes on the role of the tribe's most important religious figure, the changing woman. Her face is painted white with a mixture of clay and cornmeal. The girl dances, chants, runs, and prays. Then she symbolically provides blessings and healing to tribal members. So this is an example of how a Native American Apache, of how a different community celebrates adulthood or transitioning to adulthood. And the author gave the example of the Native American Apache ceremony called the sunrise ceremony for a girl transitioning into womanhood. On Vanuatu, an island in the South Pacific, boys participate in a dangerous ceremony, land diving. Note, show slide 2 now. Here's another note by the author. So let's go ahead and take a look what the author wants us to see. Slide 2, land diving in Vanuatu. Oh, my goodness, that does seem dangerous. The author described this ceremony as dangerous because it looks like they jump off. They leap from a structure 20 to 30 meters, 66 to 98 feet high, with vines tied to their ankles. Their leap of faith stands for the boys shedding their childhood for manhood. So this is the South Pacific, an island in South Pacific on Vanuatu. The boys will jump off a high structure to show that they're turning into men. One way males of the Dinka in Sudan, Africa, mark their transition to adulthood is by taking the name of an ox. As men, their chief responsibility is to guard the tribe bravely. Now, this particular paragraph, the author did not leave a note to show a slide, which means the author doesn't have a photograph for it. However, the author included this anyway to show another example of how different cultures celebrate becoming an adult. So in the males of the Dinka in Africa, in Sudan and Africa, they take on the name of an ox. Mepandes is an Indonesian ceremony in which girls have their front teeth filed down. It symbolizes the release of emotions considered childlike, such as anger and jealousy. How do you feel about this ceremony? 15-year-old girls across North America, Central America, and South America celebrate a quinceañera. Note, show slide 3 now. So let's take a look. What is slide 3? Oh, this is a picture of a quinceañera. It looks like a procession of some sort. The celebration begins with a blessing in church and ends with a dance party. An important part of the celebration is a procession with family and friends. The girl's new adulthood is marked by giving away a doll and replacing flat shoes with high heels. So the author describes how the how cultures in North America, Central America, and South America celebrate a girl's transition into adulthood with a celebration called quinceañera. And the author also describes what's part of that celebration. Across cultures, boys and girls are often given new names, clothing, and work responsibilities after they successfully perform the rite of passage. I wonder how we will feel after our bat mitzvah. Will we feel different once the Jewish community thinks of us as adults? That's a really great strategy for writing, asking questions to the audience because it allows the audience to continue to be part of the speech. So the author's asking them, how would we feel becoming an adult? I know that learning how girls and boys around the world experience rites of passage has helped give more significance to my own journey to manhood. Oh, this word triggers my understanding that the author is a male, manhood. So I should have been saying he all along. I know that learning how girls and boys around the world experience rites of passage has helped give more significance to my own journey to manhood. Here's to our future. Oh, that's great. The author didn't reveal their gender, well, at least to the reader. The audience, his audience would know that he's transitioning from childhood to manhood. But as far as the reader was concerned up to that point, we didn't really know, which was great. That was a great clue at the